In 2021, extremely rich people made more than $5 trillion with a capital T. Simply contemplate that number briefly. That is more than the whole GDP of Germany, one of the world's most populated and progressed nations. 2,755 individuals got more cash flow than the greatest economy in Europe, the richest mainland on Earth. They're every one of these unreasonable. And afterwards, similarly, even among the extremely rich people, the main 10 tycoons procured $400 billion of that abundance. Simply envision how terrible very rich people on the lower part of the rundown feel. Don't you feel awful for them? When you go over such numbers, it makes you insane in light of the fact that making even $1 million is no joking matter, let be billions. However, for what reason do just a little minority really do wind up getting such a lot of money? It's not difficult to point fingers and yell that they have quite recently acquired their cash. However, we should be somewhat more sensible. Better believe it, some of them did. However, the truth of the matter is none of the main 10 most extravagant acquired anything. Obviously, there are numerous explanations behind their prosperity. However, everything boils down to a couple of essential standards. When you comprehend them and figure out how they work, you can show yourself the way of abundance too. It's anything but a bit-by-bit process. There is definitely not a reasonable manual for how to make a fortune. Assuming there was, it would have been instructed in business books. Yet MBA graduates typically end out working in a regular work like the rest, not all that much. Truth be told, at whatever point you read accounts of fruitful individuals, you understand how novel and various has been the way of every business visionary. Nonetheless, every one of them consistently followed a couple of fundamental standards. What's more, the justification for why the vast majority are in getting monetarily free is a direct result of this very explanation. They're not adhering to the essential guidelines of development. To think that they are out, offer this video a go ahead and buy in one. I let individuals know that becoming well off is more about discipline and commitment. I get barraged with claims that becoming rich isn't of karma, and they love bringing instances of Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg. They've been perfectly positioned with the ideal individuals and the right thought, yet you don't require $200 billion to turn out to be monetarily free. Have you at any point had a go at living on $1 million every year? That is in a real sense to the point of leasing a house, drive a Ferrari and travel any place you need. Frankly, even a couple $100,000 can do the work. The fact is, quit checking out at the highest point of the progressive system. Be useful. Going for $50,000 or $60,000 to $300,000 is undeniably more common sense than contrasting your total assets with Elon Musk's $300 billion. Actually, assuming you were conceived only a couple hundred years prior in an unfortunate family, chances do would have escaped the neediness are near nothing. For the greater part of history, by far most of individuals were ranchers who needed to work from early morning till night, their whole lives, just to make good on charges and make do. Simply, in the 19th century, 90% of the total populace were ranchers. What were the possibilities that you could get rich when you didn't go to class? Most likely couldn't peruse a ride and haven't seen anything outside the little town you experienced childhood in. What's more, incidentally, there was no Google in those days. Nonetheless, today, no matter what your family foundation, you likely went to class. You approach web and you can show yourself anything you need, from realistic planning to walk science. On top of all of this, it has never been so natural to associate with one another. Once upon a time, showing your ability to this present reality was troublesome. All you really want is a cell phone and admittance to the web, which you undoubtedly have since you're watching this video. So we should get opened up the possibility that you should be fortunate to turn out to be monetarily free. The issue is that it is truly simple to get to a safe place where you have a steady check, and doing anything dangerous looks so crazy that it's simpler to pin everything on external factors like karma. The vast majority don't get the idea of outstanding development, for instance, or compounding phenomena. Whenever you become accustomed to the way that it's 1 hour of your time approaches $20. For instance, everything you can see is that functioning additional a few hours approaches $2 additional $60 or $90. All things considered has no effect. However, that is not the way in which development works. Suppose your business develops by a component of $2 dramatically, beginning with $2,000 in the main year. The subsequent year will be $4,000, which is ordinary. In any case, the amazing truth is that in the third year, rather than 6, it will be 8, then, at that point, 16 in the fourth year, etc. With each extra year, the development gets greater and greater. Take the case of accumulating funds. Saving and contributing $10,000 once make you rich. Regardless of whether you that for north of 10 years, that will be $100,000. Regardless of whether you put that cash in record reserves, that would equivalent to $160,000 is large chunk of change, yet all the same, let's face it. It's anything but an extraordinary sum. Nonetheless, in the following 10 years, that sum would become the $572,000. Well, that is what I'm referring to. Furthermore, the principal years your speculation would acquire you an extra $60,000. In any case, in the following 10 years, they would acquire $372,000. That is what's truly going on with outstanding development with each sequential year. The development span in the following 20 years, your $572,000 will become the $4.4 million. Indeed, you heard that right? $4.4 million. The greatest contrast, in any case, occurs somewhat recently. What in a solitary year, your cash will develop by $412,000 in a solitary year. Indeed. In a solitary year, you will procure more than you would in the initial 10 years. Obviously, 40 years is a truly significant time frame. Goodness, we're the ones to stand by that long, yet this is an outrageous illustration of what you save just $10,000 every year, and put resources into a very protected resource. Assuming you apply this idea somewhat more extreme, you can expect obviously better with Souths. Assuming you get some information about their YouTube venture, they will in all probability let you know that getting their 1,000 endorser was the hardest part, or getting their initial 10,000 supporters was considerably more troublesome than their initial 100,000. So at whatever point you are beginning a business, dominating an ability, or building anything, to not get frustrated. On the off chance that you see no prompt outcomes, that is totally typical. It will require some investment before you will see any genuine development. Whenever I began contributing back, when I turned 18, it seemed like it would consume me a huge chunk of time to construct an adequately large portfolio when my whole portfolio was only barely any $100. Yet, quick forward today, it is large to the point of allowing it to develop all alone. Precisely the same happened when I got into land. It consumed me a huge chunk of time to get my first client. However, subsequent to building my client base, it got much simpler. I can give you incalculable models, yet I suppose you get the point. The main issue is that you need to invest the energy now, yet the result will come a lot later. So assuming you're accustomed to getting compensated toward the finish of consistently, it is truly hard to see your rewards for so much hard work years after the fact. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumb up and share with your friend. Thank you for watching.